Well, hey everybody, I'm Selena Brilla, and this is DIY Live, Huntsville, Alabama's YouTube channel dedicated to capturing the underground. I'm here at the Fret Shop today with my friend Michael Kilpatrick.
Hi.
How you doing, Michael?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We've been looking forward to this, Matt and I both have.
Cool.
To get the chance to sit down and get to know you a little bit better, as you're definitely a Huntsville music legend. So let's talk a little bit about you. Are you originally from Huntsville?
I grew up here. Yeah, I was born in Birmingham and moved here at about a year old. And so, raised here, went to high school here.
Yeah, which one did you go to?
I went to Grissom.
Went to Grissom.
But I was not a rich kid.
Well, my son graduated from
Okay,
Grissom.
okay.
And he wasn't a rich kid either. I get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, graduated from high school here and went to Auburn University for college and came back here and worked a couple of years. But I've lived all over the South and done a lot of stuff. But this Huntsville's my home. And
So, are you, and I've seen you drumming. So are you primarily a drummer?
I started as a drummer. Yeah, I started as a drummer in 1979, which you were not even born.
Yes, I was. I was born in 1976 in Florence, Alabama. So I was born.
Okay.
Yes, not old enough to appreciate it.
Okay.
I was born.
Okay. Well, that's fair enough.
Great. So at what age did you start drumming?
I was 12 years old when I started playing drums.
Oh, nice. Who gave you your first set of drums? How'd that come about?
I bought my first set. I always wanted to play, and the high school or the middle school band director said to my mom, like, "You're never going to be a drummer. He's never going to be a drummer. He's just not. He's not gonna.
He's just not coordinated.
It's like he's not gonna. That's not gonna happen." And she came home like, "Mike, he really didn't want you to be a drummer. Like he didn't think you have it." And I just said, "Watch me. I'm gonna do it." And I did. So I did okay, and I played in band in high school at Grissom, and but I also played. I bought set drums and played home, and just looked for people to like-minded people to play with, which back then it isn't like it is now.
Right. Let's talk about Huntsville back then when you were in high school. I'd love to hear stories about it. Of course, I like I said, I was 3, but I'd love to hear what Huntsville was like when you were in high school.
It was very, very different. I mean, I lived down by Grissom, obviously, and I was able to meet a few people who knew about punk rock and knew about music that wasn't Boston or Journey or Styx and stuff like that. But finding them and getting up to North Huntsville, I mean, from Grissom to like North Huntsville to like Oakwood was like a 35-minute drive.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was like across town, and like Oakwood Drive from South Huntsville was like the edge of the earth. It was like, I know, and now it's just like, oh, here's something,
Right.
It's not a big deal. But back then there were no overpasses. There was one overpass, and it just took us forever to get there. And finding like-minded people was really tough. Okay. And so most of the people I knew they were into Rush and they were into Boston, and they were like, "You like the Ramones and they suck." And oh yeah, I know. I know.
Oh,
people got problems. People got problems. But yeah, that's how I got started. I probably started listening to punk rock about 7th, 8th grade, like 1979, 1980.
Yeah.
Got the Ramones and Devo. I was a big Devo guy, big Devo guy, and it just kind of went from there. Talking Heads. I went from there, and it was rare because this is pre-MTV now. Because many people don't know this, but Huntsville, Alabama was the very first. There were 3 cities that got MTV. 3 cities that initially got MTV on August 1st, 1981, and Huntsville was one of the cities.
I would have never known that.
So we were one of the first cities. It was us and Oklahoma City, and I think Los Angeles, part of Los Angeles got MTV. And I watched the first day, I watched the whole thing, and it was just crazy to actually see, music that you liked on TV, which was, there was a lot of junk too. It was REO Speedwagon and stuff like that, which I didn't really care for, but it was cool seeing like the Police and the Ramones and Talking Heads, and so I mean, you really had to work for it back then in Huntsville.
Yeah.
Not like now, where everybody plays music, and we're all the better for that.
Agreed.
Aren't we?
Yes.
But yeah, so that's kind of where I came from.
So you played band in high school.
Yes.
Were you in any bands in high school?
I played a little bit of jazz. I played in jazz band, and I tried to get several little things going as far as punk rock bands, and just wasn't really happening until the very end of high school. I started meeting people from like Lee High School and Johnson High School who were hip and knew music, and by that time I'd seen the Knockabouts, which is Alabama Sharp's band with Rusty Jackson and Greg Skalka, and those guys are not around anymore, but I had gone to see them, and that blew me out of the water, and I just thought, they were fierce. I mean, just, I've never seen anything like that. To this day, it was just so groundbreaking for me. So yeah.
And they were one of the first original Huntsville bands,
Yeah,
period. Was the Knockabouts.
Oh, yeah.
I went to their reunion. I got to come and see that. It was really cool. But one day I'll sit down and find the whole story about that. So that's one of the first Huntsville bands you saw.
Yeah, that's one, and definitely the first original music Huntsville band I ever saw. And I mean, I saw a bunch of, you know, crappy rock bands, you know, just dudes with perms and, you know, playing metal. Yeah. Which is, and I must make that distinction, is that back then that you couldn't like both. You couldn't be a punk rocker and also listen to metal. I mean, that was like, the metal people hated us. Mm-hmm. They hated us. And, you know, we didn't really care for their music either. But I mean, now the two, it's okay to say, I love Black Sabbath. Because I did. I liked Black Sabbath a lot. I loved AC/DC. But I mean... But you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell people
your
that.
Punk friends that.
You couldn't tell your punk... Well, I did, but I don't know. It was just a weird time.
A lot of division back then.
It was
everything was very divided.
Everything was very divided. Today, it's just no big deal at all. And it's cool. People can just share those common interests.
Okay, so in high school you were in a jazz band.
Yeah, did some jazz.
So then you went to Auburn, you said.
Yes.
Did you play in any bands when you were in college?
Yeah,
Let's talk about college.
Yeah, I started the first real band I was in 1985. I was playing drums, and it was covers, and we wrote a couple of tunes, but it was mainly like Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers and the Gun Club and Ramones and just things like that, and just stuff we liked to play and wanted more people to know about.
What was the name of that band?
That was a band called Elephant Talk.
Oh.
Which was
Elephant Talk, neat.
But that's ripped from a King Crimson tune. See here again, that's so unpunk. But I like
but
King
it's so
Crimson.
Alabama.
It's so Alabama.
It's so simple. Roll Tide.
Yeah, Roll Tide. Roll Tide. And I went to Auburn, so I said Roll Tide.
Oh, yeah, you're totally in trouble there.
That's okay.
Roll Tide at Auburn.
No, it's all good. I like winters. Winters are good. I played tons of bands in them. That was really cool going to Auburn because you were meeting people from all over the country and just lots of musicians everywhere. And there were gigs, and there was you could play with 3 or 4 different bands a week. I was probably in 4 or 5 bands.
Oh wow, you're busy. Every band needs a drummer.
Everybody needs a drummer. Everybody needs a drummer.
Everyone needs a drummer.
I did.
The hardest role to get in.
It is. It was nice because I could go play. I played in a reggae band down there that was wonderful. A couple of Jamaican guys in the band, and they were just like, one drop, Mom, one drop. And they taught me like how to play. Like, don't do that, do this. She taught me the reggae thing, and I played reggae, and I played country, and I played punk, and that was awesome. And I worked for the radio station too, the college radio station. I was a DJ, so I was got to be around all these people and music all the time.
Oh, it sounds so wonderful.
Awesome.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Awesome. So let's talk. So after college and being in all of these bands, what did you do from there?
I came back to Huntsville and started working in television. That was my degree in college, radio, TV, film. But I always had a band going. I always had some kind of something. Mm-hmm. And I in the late 80s, I was singing a lot too. I kind of didn't really quit playing drums. I just also started fronting bands too.
Oh, I bet that was
sing and
fun.
play guitar. Because I just was like, well, we always seem to have trouble with drummers and singers. Like, singers would never help load out the gear, and they would steal your girlfriend, and I know.
Damn
Who could blame them?
Those front men.
I know those front men.
They're right there in the front the whole time. The
girls
are going crazy.
I know. They get the best of all the worlds. I mean,
So you wanted to have a little bit of time.
I kind of wanted a little bit of that Mick Jagger thing. I'll be honest. Oh, I
Nothing wrong with that.
I did. I know. I liked it. I just felt like I could do as good as some of the people who were fronting the bands, and I didn't think I was, Roy Orbison or anything, but I thought I could sing a little bit. And so I did, and I did some punk bands, and then I did a rockabilly thing with the owner here of the Fret Shop, Mark Torstenson.
What was the name of that band?
That was the Frigidaires.
The Frigidaires.
We started in 1991, and we still do gigs together.
That's
and that
awesome.
was a fantastically fun band. Lots of fun.
Frigidaires.
The Frigidaires.
Yes, I've seen some pictures from the Frigidaires.
I had hair back then.
Yeah, you
Tell you
did.
how long ago that was. So.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I've been doing that. So I did that for a long time, and yeah, I just
Worked in television and worked and then was in bands as well.
yeah, I was in bands.
Okay.
I moved to Atlanta for a little while. I was in Atlanta for about 2.5 years. Didn't do a whole lot of music over there. It was just the scene was really closed off. Wasn't like Huntsville. The musicians weren't as good, in my opinion. There's some great musicians there, but not any that I could really vibe with, like I did with folks in Huntsville. And came back here again for a little bit, and then I lived in Birmingham for 5 years. Did a lot of music down there. Had a big soul band down there. It was like 10-piece band.
Oh wow.
4 black horn players, Jewish guitar player, Jewish keyboard player, straight off the boat from Russia.
Nice.
Girl
What was the
backup
name of
singer.
that band?
Mercy Mercy.
Mercy.
That was
Big
a-
old soul band.
That was a fun band. We played with bands like Train, and we opened for the Lemonheads, and we opened for a bunch of people. It was a good band.
Yeah.
And then I met my wife, the girl who would become my wife in 1997,
Oh.
and that's Karen.
Yes, she's lovely. Right? You're lucky. For
I know. People tell me the thing they like about me most is my wife.
She's lovely.
She's lovely.
She is. Every time I've met her, she's just
She's
wonderful.
a great girl.
Yes, you're a very lucky fellow.
Yeah, I did good there.
Yeah.
She's been very supportive of all the music thing that I've done. She's a creative too. My wife's a art director, graphic designer, and so she understands the creative process, and gives me my space to do that, and that's really cool. And that's been the biggest help to me, is just being in a relationship with someone who understands what I do. You know? So yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's keep on this time frame.
Keep
So
on the time
Keep
frame.
on the time frame. So you met your wife in 1997,
Correct.
and now you are living. You were in Birmingham.
I'm in Birmingham.
Okay.
I lived in Memphis for a little while in '99, and we moved back here at the end of 1999. So we've
Okay.
been back here 20.
Okay. Was there any music in between when you were in Memphis and then back here?
A little bit in Memphis. I worked in TV there.
Okay.
I was so busy, and I only stayed there about 8 months.
Okay.
And it wasn't like Huntsville.
Huntsville's
Huntsville.
very encompassing, very unified. Like people
man.
here, so much talent.
You
too.
know.
I mean, I
you
left
know.
and came back again. It's a great place.
It's a great place. There's no place in the world that has musicians or creative people or just nice people. Huntsville is we're so blessed. We're so fortunate. So fortunate.
So let's talk about the music after you get back to Huntsville with your wife and you guys got married.
Yeah.
And then what other bands? What was the musical road after that?
I did some more Frigidaires gigs with Mark Torstenson here. I did some gigs with with Jim Cavender and just another like a rockabilly band. We just kind of like a casual thing. But then I played drums, started playing drums again, and did like a jazz funk kind of thing, an instrumental kind of thing. We're just doing jazz and Miles Davis and stuff like that. But I just kind of wanted to play drums again. I just kind of wanted to.
Well, you're
do
married
that.
now. You don't
I'm
need
married.
to be the front man.
Yeah, no, I
getting all
didn't need
the
to be the
girls
front.
anymore.
I know. I got the best girl.
Right, you had your time.
I had my time.
And now you're married, so
Right.
now you don't need to be the front
Right.
guy anymore. You
Exactly.
can go back to doing your true love, which is the drums.
Exactly, and Karen didn't like it as much because now we're the last ones to leave at night because we're like loading out drums, and she'd say, we used to be able to just walk off the stage and bye.
Bye, I don't have any equipment.
And now I'm just like, we're the first ones there and last ones to leave. But it's worth it to me. I love doing it, and so we're married, and I do this jazz thing for a few years, and then I got cancer. I got cancer, diagnosed with cancer in 2005 in my mouth. It was in my tongue and in my neck, and that went on I had several surgeries and chemo and radiation. That went on for about 3 years, and so I was declared cancer-free in 2008. So I've been cancer-free ever since.
Awesome.
So that's awesome.
Yes.
And after that, that's kind of like, wow, staring death in the face kind of makes you go, I want to just do what I want to do and do it really, really good and be the best I can and hopefully pull some people along with me. Because at this point, I'm 2008. I mean, I'm like an elder statesman. I didn't realize I'd gotten old, but I got old. And all these bands I was seeing around Huntsville were like, man, these guys are great.
Right.
Just so many great young musicians. And I thought, and they would always ask me, like, what was it like in 1985? I'm like, well, I got beat up for wearing a Clash t-shirt. Like, and now it's like you see somebody with pink hair and nobody cares. It's just like
you see a guy in a dress, nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Back then it was so
Back
different.
then it was brutal.
Yeah.
It was terrible just to be into punk rock and different, or you know, we didn't care if you wore a dress, you were a guy, you were a girl, you didn't know what you were. I mean, if you were cool, you're a friend.
Right. Your group of people didn't care.
Yeah,
but the other group, the ones, ones that were beating you up and fighting
enemies,
with you all the time.
And there were more than.
Is that what you called them, the indies?
Yeah, we call them, I guess, the other. We called them the other because they hated us. Because we just did our own thing. And I remember specifically in the late '80s, maybe taking a tape of my band at the time to like one of the clubs here in town, and just like, hey, could we get a gig here? Because I was just green and stupid. I just wanted to go play some rock club instead of booking a YMCA bathroom to play in. Mm-hmm. And the guy took my tape and was like, pops it in, and he's like, well, you guys only know 3 chords, and 2 of them are wrong. You're like, get out of here, get out.
Oh my God.
And like, so that's the kind of thing, that's the way it was. It's like if you didn't sound like Boston or Journey or Styx or Air Supply or Whitney Houston or whatever, you know.
They shunned you.
They shunned you.
Out.
Yeah. So we had to make our own. Just like the whole premise of the show, the DIY Huntsville.
Right.
We didn't wait for permission from somebody to do a gig. We found a room like this, had 4 walls, a ceiling, had power, maybe a bathroom. We gave the guy $50 and said, yeah, we'll clean up when we leave. And we did.
Nice.
There
were some clubs though, right? There was the one, what is the one that's on the court? It's not far from where I live. And I never got to go with Lenny, the guy like...
Tip Top Cafe.
That's it, Tip Top Cafe.
That changed everything.
Let's talk about Tip Top Cafe. So when did that come around?
That, I found it at the end, about the end of '85, early '86, but it had been around since the '40s. It was just like a workman's.
It is a weird little
cafe.
spot because I've driven past it. I mean, obviously it's closed a long time since I would have ever had anything. But I drove by to see what it looked like, and it is a strange little spot on the corner. Yeah,
it was in the Mill Village. It was just like a little mill
on a side road, not
road.
on a busy street at all. Over on the side. And but I've heard so many stories from the Tip Top Cafe.
It was just, it was where like the workmen from the mill town around there went to go eat lunch and drink beer on their lunch break.
But they let you guys play there.
And then they let us play.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
We were not the first band to play in there, but there was.
No, I meant your group.
But there were a couple people who let us in, and they were like, man, this is, wow. Okay, well we'll build a stage and we'll build a PA system, and you guys can come in here and play, and we'll charge $2, and we'll even give you some of the money. And some of it they gave us, and some of it they didn't.
But you were still playing.
But we were still playing somewhere, and people were able to come and see it, and it was such a cool place in that aspect that they got to be pretty well known, where bands would stop through, and there'd be like a speed metal band one night, then there would be a Zydeco band the next night, then the next night would be like a frat guy, like an REM cover band, and then like the next night Fish would play.
Oh wow.
And then the next night would be the Meat Puppets, and then Concrete Blonde, and Bo Diddley, like Mark, the owner here, played with Bo Diddley. I mean, it was just like,
so cool.
You just never knew what was going to be in there, and the place only held like 120 people.
That's what, it doesn't look big at all.
There would be probably 600 people. It was a total fire hazard. It was a dive. I mean,
how awesome to have in Huntsville.
Oh, it was awesome. It was great. And Southern Cultural and the Skids would come through all the time. They played all the time. The Flathill Jets. Just, God, I can't even think of all the bands. Kip Shepard, a good friend of ours here in town, has a bands who played the Tip Top Cafe Facebook page, which is well worth seeing.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's just, you wouldn't believe, 311 and some
wow.
of the bands that used to play here were just ridiculous.
That's what I heard. So many stories, and they're like, that band played here in this little tiny corner.
Yes.
And this was really a great mecca.
This is a mecca.
Time. Yeah, people
For original music.
Place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always heard that story, and I love that. I still feel like
it was
like
really
that.
cool. Huntsville is still like that.
Yeah.
It's still like that.
I
It's
believe
still,
that.
They're just, most of our parents worked for NASA or one of the contractors or something like that, and they were just like, get out of the house, go do something. And we're like, but there's nowhere to go. We're not in Washington, D.C. There's no record stores. There's no, there's nothing to do.
Right.
And so they're like, figure something out.
Just get out of my house.
Just get out of the house. Like, leave. Go do something. And we're like, maybe we can put some shows together. Put a band together. Just throw a little festival, like 3 bands, and we just...
Right. And without it, you didn't have the internet or the things that kids have now. So you had to be creative and inventive and go be with your people and be with your friends because there wasn't the distractions and things that there are these days. And it was one of those things where we would like there was a barbecue restaurant way up in North Huntsville called Floyd's Barbecue, and it was this little shack off the side of the road. This old black man ran it, and it was really cool. And we went in there one day, Floyd, man, can we rent your... He's like, yeah, I got a party room back here. And they're like, how much you want to rent? $40. It was this huge room, and he's like, as long as I keep all the money from the food, I don't care. Right on.
And so we got an older friend to go buy a keg of beer, and we charged like $2, and we played. And if you got in underage, you could drink, and the keg ran dry, and we quit at 10 o'clock, and the end of the night, Floyd says to us, hands us this big wad of money, and like, them white boys had $400 worth of barbecue. They were tripping out. They were like, you want to do this next week? And we did. He loved it. And then we cleaned up. We didn't like leave a mess. We didn't get in a fight or anything. We took care of it, and we had to just nurture this little scene. This little thing, we didn't wait for somebody's opinion.
Right? We just
did
what
it,
we want
like
to
what
do.
you're doing.
Right? This is what we want to do. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
So it's cool to see people a third my age doing this, doing the same thing, I'm about to be 54 years old, and I'm watching these 18-year-old kids like organize shows.
Oh my goodness. Isn't it great?
Awesome.
It is awesome.
It's cool.
Super
They're
cool.
not waiting for anybody to say, you can't do that. And we would go play on the Big Spring Park, because some of those light fixtures down there, you can pop a little panel off, and there's plugs in there, and we would like plug in a little PA system and a couple of amps and a power strip, and we would just play on the street.
Oh, that's so cool.
And cops would drive by like, what are you doing? I'm like, we're just playing music. And they're, all right.
And keep going.
And they just keep going. Because there wasn't anybody downtown to bother. There was no one down there. So we'd just go down and play for all of our friends. There'd be 40 or 50 kids standing around in the park.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
So that's just what Huntsville was. We've always had to create.
Yeah, it's like it's a spot in North Alabama that's just got all this creative energy in it.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so in 2008, you beat cancer.
Yes.
So what was your road back to music like?
It was tough. Very tough. A lot of work. I started back playing music immediately, though, really. And backing up just a little bit, though, a little before the time I got cancer, I had read an interview online with Billy Zoom from the band X out of LA, and I found an email address for him. And I've always lived by this goal, I just don't ask questions, or don't ask questions, maybe it's like, the only dumb question is the one you didn't ask.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I just like sent him an email like, hey man, you're my hero. And I love your band, and I've been a big fan of X since I was 14. And how are you? What do you say, you're a hero? Dear Paul McCartney, you are my hero. How are you? What do you say?
Right.
So X and the Minutemen and Circle Jerks and Fear and all those bands, those were my people. And so I wrote him and he wrote me back. And so we started this little communication and ended up playing together. Not long after I beat cancer. Ended up playing in a little rockabilly band. He and I and Mark Torstensen, actually from the Fresh Shop.
I love you guys so much.
The three of us, we did a rockabilly band. Me and Mark and Billy Zoom did a rockabilly band together, and
that is so
cool.
Yes,
so that was our little.
And what was the name of that band?
Billy Zoom and the New Moon Boys.
Billy Zoom and the New Moon Boys.
We went out to California, and Mark and I did, and we played a couple of gigs with Billy, and it went great. And he came here and played a cancer benefit for a friend of mine that started a cancer advocacy group here, and Billy agreed to come and play for no money, and
that's awesome.
We did a benefit, the old Straight to Ill, and this is a long time ago, 2009, 2010. Wow. That's a long time ago. Mm-hmm. But that was my little way onto Billy Zoom's radar. So I kept doing music the whole time. I was still playing drums and still trying to figure out my way into the Huntsville. I don't know.
Well, if there was a Huntsville Hall of Fame, you would be in it. You know that. Everybody in town.
I'd be working the door. I'd be taking out the trash of the Huntsville music.
So you did get to play with X, though.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. You got to tour with them. You got to play with them. So
that was a cool thing.
And was Billy Zoom what brought you into getting that opportunity?
Yes, in fact.
You got to play with your favorite childhood band.
Yes.
That is so cool.
With all the original members, which was really.
That is so cool.
Ridiculous.
Yes, I remember when I first met you, you were playing with the Soft Revenge.
Yes,
you guys were playing.
That was what I was doing. Yeah.
Yes.
That's how we first met.
Yeah, that's how you and I first met.
Yes,
and then you did the X tour after that.
Yes, correct.
And yes, I remember because you had brought me in a guitar pick from
I sure did.
You did. And I was like, you've been having so much fun all over the world.
Oh my God.
Yes. So tell us what it was like to get to tour with your.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. It was so much fun. They were so good to me, so nice to me. X, we're talking about X here. LA punk band. Go look them up if you don't know who they are.
It's cool youngins.
They were just unbelievable human beings, and it was so much fun. And the bands we played with, we played with the Blasters, and we played with Los Lobos and Wanda Jackson and just and Willie Nelson's daughter, and just the people who around them who just were their friends they were all just amazing people. And
that's so cool.
It was so much fun. It was just a good time. It was just, I really got to see the world, or to see the country, that is. Mm-hmm. And then so many people asked me, they knew about me more than I knew about them. And they'd be like, what's going on with Alabama?
Oh, cool.
How do you think, what's going on with Alabama? Because that was right around the time that Alabama Shakes were blowing up.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And they were just, people were like, what's going on with Alabama? Some of these people backstage at the show, the Go-Go's, the girls from the Go-Go's would come to the gig like, you're from Alabama? What's in the water? What's in this scene here? I'm just like, they're some of the best musicians and people you'll ever meet.
Yep.
And
there's this portal or something.
It is.
There's a giant crystal under this town or something. And that radiates music and just brings all this creative people and energy together.
It is. Majority of the people are super, super nice and super helpful. And that's what I've always tried to foster with people, is that, especially the younger ones, because very few, other than Alabama Sharp, very few of the older musicians here in town, most of whom are not around, Microwave Dave the exception. Mm-hmm. Between Microwave Dave and Alabama Sharp, most of the other, and Tommy Shepard, most of the older musicians in town were like, you guys, the Ramones aren't going anywhere, dude. You're wasting your time. Why do this? And they didn't, once we got to a place where we were putting on gigs, we were like, come on, young guy, get your band together, come along with us. So we always wanted to make it inclusive, because music it's not athletics. It's not it's like you may say and play something differently than I would, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're not any good at it. It just means that you're different.
Right, and different is great.
Different is
really
good.
Really, really great.
And like you said, it's like you show up in a dress and makeup and, you know, or you want to play.
You come over here by us, and we'll fight them.
You're right. Yeah, we'll fight with you.
We'll fight with you against them.
Right.
I think Matt said that not long ago. Like it's us against them, against the other. Like we're the inclusive. Like you come and be with us, and then we're against them. That other, the one that those people.
It wasn't
that.
It wasn't, and it was also cool that there were so many people who didn't play instruments, but they still wanted to be a part of the scene. And they still had creative energy they could bring to it, like organizational skills. And, she can make flyers. This girl does lights, and this girl does, and this guy works in TV, and you're like, he's got a camera. This girl's got a still camera. This guy's got a film camera. This guy's got, wait a minute, his dad's got a PA system. We were like, we just had to use our resources and try to make good use of them. And
the original DIY way.
The original DIY thing.
Everybody show up with what you got, and let's put something together. Yeah.
And then when I hear people like Henry Rollins go on about, oh, we didn't have anything, and we didn't. I'm like, well, you had Washington, D.C., and there were 300 other people just like you who looked like you and at least try to fight with you, which I understand. I get that. But I mean, in Huntsville, there was 15 people who know who the Ramones were. That was it. That was it.
That's it. Like, you don't have 300 other people
you
can talk to.
Yes.
You have this small group of people, and
that's it. And so and I'd like to feel like that we did good with what we had, because you guys are here.
Right? Because
we figured out a way to sustain itself.
Right? And then the other parts of the world are asking what's going on with Alabama.
Right.
I mean, because you got to be doing something right when people from other parts of the world are asking. I know that's when I was booking music, and all of a sudden I was getting messages from New York and Japan, and these fellows like, something's got to be going right. Something's going on. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
Something's going on. And for the city of Huntsville to invest the millions there in this amphitheater.
Wow.
I mean, are you kidding me? That thing's world class.
Right.
The time is now. If you want to do something, you should do it. You should step up. And that's the thing, is that persistence is a huge thing. You always ask 5 words. I do.
Yes, let's do that. Let's ask the 5 words. We always do this towards the end. 5 words of what you'd want people to know. Yes.
About me?
About you.
Patience. Persistence. Practice. Positivity. And performance.
The 5 P's.
The 5 P's.
I love that. You're gonna have to send that to me.
Patience, persistence, practice, positivity, and performance.
I love that. I mean, that's like we need to tell every young kid about the 5 P's.
You just do. Just don't
give
give
up. It should be on a tool on the wall. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you just can't give up.
No.
You can't give up. You can't. You can't give up.
Nope. And then you'll get to tour with your favorite band.
Right.
And that's so funny, because you're like the second interview we've done where a Huntsville musician got to tour and play and create music with their favorite band. Like this is a real thing.
Yes.
It really happens.
Really happens.
The people who tell you otherwise, like that band teacher who told your mom you couldn't play drums.
Right.
Lies.
Right, lies.
Absolute lies.
Well, I can fake it pretty good. I've been faking it for 40 years.
For 40 years. Drumming for 40 years.
I've been faking it for 40 years.
And playing to massive crowds in front of thousands of people with your favorite band, and then getting to watch all of these great performances that along the way with people that you're performing with. It's just amazing.
And just to know that, and also know that during that whole time it was really cool, because I knew everyone back here in Huntsville was pulling for me. There was nobody here going like, oh man, that guy, maybe there were people going, man, maybe that guy didn't deserve that, but I'm sorry, I worked my ass off for that.
Yes, you did.
I worked very, very hard to get where I was, but I also never forgot where I came from, and I realized there were so many people here who were just so happy for me.
And they were so giving.
They wanted to be.
Yes.
I wanted to take them along with me, so it was all of you going along with me. It wasn't just me going. This This wasn't about me, it was about everybody in Huntsville.
I've always definitely felt that about you. Since the first time I met you, and your band signed the whole thing so that I could have it at the end of the night. And we'd never met before either.
No.
And you were giving me gifts, and it was like...
Because we like you.
Yeah. And I was like, you never even knew anything in the world. But you've always been so much like everybody, including, and I love that.
I hope that would rub off on. I will hope that would rub off on people.
Oh, it's so appreciated, and I'm sure it has. I'm sure it has.
Yeah, it's important. It's part of the process in here of the P's that you have to.
I love that.
And if you do something long enough and you really, really work your ass off, I mean, good things can happen. It may not be exactly what happened to me.
Oh no.
But
it'll be your happening.
It'll be your happening. It'll be your. And that wasn't even the be all end all of what I did. I mean, once that was over, it's like I went right back to recording bands and I'm doing sessions all the time. I'm at home and I'm playing on other people's records in Atlanta and I've never stopped. I'm very busy. I've never stopped. COVID has not been bad for me, believe it or not. It's kept me inside and I hate that. But I love the fact that we have Dropbox. Dropbox is awesome. I'm playing with a girl right now from Milwaukee.
Oh, that's so cool.
Whom I've only gotten to meet twice. But I'm getting to play on her record because we're friends. And Dropbox exists and she likes the way I play and I like what she sings and writes. So here again, we're figuring out ways around, we figured out a way around people who didn't like the Ramones and men who wear dresses. And then we figured out a way around COVID and we're still trying to figure out a way around COVID.
Music's always going to find that
way. But we're always going to, yes. Always gonna find it. And create music and creative people and fans, because if there's no fans to watch you, you're alone. So, yeah, we're always trying to find a way home. We're always trying to find our way home. And our home, and our homeboys.
Of course.
Our home girls.
Right. Home people.
Home people.
Home people.
Right, home people. I don't want to exclude anyone from that.
No one is excluded,
no one is excluded
ever at all. No, all of the they, them, he, she, all of it. We want it all. We take it all of it.
They're all important.
Absolutely.
Everybody's important. Everybody has something to give.
Every single person, period.
Everybody.
Always. Man, this has been so much fun.
Man, this has been fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Matt.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Let's
Oh, hey everybody, this is Selena Brown, Michael Kilpatrick, Matt Green back there. Thank you so much for watching. This is DIY Live. Thank you. That was great. Yeah. Oh my God, I know you so much better.
Oh.